For this sample, we're going to be practicing sewing darts. So darts are what we sew into fabric to fit the curves of the body. You would see this along a bust line, or at the underneath the bust on a blouse, or for the waistline of a dress, you might find a dart there. Also on the back of slacks, you will find darts. So over to fit the curves of our body, because we are not square people. So we need something to gather this fabric up and still allow there to be room here for us to fit into the garment. So a dart is a triangular shape that we're going to end up folding and then sewing. You can see that there are dots here and that there are lines. So on the wrong side of your fabric, you can mark the dots and line those up, but also there are other ways that advanced sewers will mark their darts. You, as a beginner sewer, can take these dots and a ruler and line them up and go ahead and mark this entirely so that you have a line to stitch on. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'm going to unpin my piece and show you how to sew a dart. All right, so we're going to fold our dart just like I had shown you, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So you want to line up your dots, and we're going to make sure that this point is right at the end. So you can line them up visually. Right. The end of this piece is going to be a little bit longer than this piece, and that's okay. And then I'm going to kind of pull it down so that this point is at the end. And you can check it if you want to by putting a pin through one dot. Okay, up, good and lined up. All right, so now that I've got this, I can kind of finger press it, help it out a little bit, make sure that everything stays in place. Right. And then I'm going to pin this down, okay, just to hold it in place. And this is a small dart, so you don't have to overpin. I think that one is going to do just fine, and it's going to keep everything lined up. What we're going to do is we're going to start sewing at this end, and then we're going to sew, and we're going to run off of this piece, and I'm going to show you why that is. And in fact, because I realize that I'm going to be sewing from this side, maybe I could move my pin over to here to pull it out so it's not hiding underneath, but I can actually see it, so I can grab a hold of it. So I'm just going to leave it right there. All right, so again, you just want to plan out what you're doing as the sewer, because you're in control. Okay. So I'm going to take this to my machine. We're going to use the standard stitch length. We're going to back stitch at the beginning, but again, we're not going to back stitch at the end. We're going to run off of the end. So I have my piece set up, lined up, and I'm going to sew right along this line that I have marked. Make sure to take out my pin so I don't sew over it. So the reason we're not sewing back stitching here is that would create too much bulk. It might cause a pucker, and then we would see this, it would just be too obvious from the right hand side. So I want you to run off of this, and we're going to pull our threads long. Right to the edge, keep going. Okay. Right. Some people sew down here a little bit. You can see that I went just slightly past it just to run off there. So I'm going to clip my threads so that I have enough to actually tie together. Okay, so I'm going to pull my machine out of the way, and you're going to see that I'm going to separate these threads. Okay, kind of have to untwist them a little bit. Okay, and so instead of the machine securing it, we're going to secure it just by tying a basic knot. Okay, so now you can see that I've gotten to the base of where my thread stopped being sewn into the fabric, and I'm going to just do a basic knot. 1, 2. Okay. and then I can trim my threads. And now when I press this open, this just kind of, you know, gently falls right into the fabric, or blends right into the fabric, I should say. If I had backstitch here, I would probably see, like if I grab it, you'll kind of see like a bit of a pucker. That's what it would look like if I tried to backstitch it here, just too much. So I'm going to take this, and whenever we have darts, we want to press them either down or away from the body. So in this case, this means that we're pressing it down. Okay, so take it to the iron and we'll see what it looks like after. So I have just laid this onto the table, and you can see that it actually is already filling out with its own fabric here, like on the curve. So you can already tell what this is going to do to the fabric. And there's actually things called pressing hams, which are curved. So you should press this on something that is already curved, but you get the idea, and hopefully you have successfully now sewn a dart.